know if you've heard this before, but Philly fans booed Santa Claus.
Ugh. Yeah, I've heard it. First of all, he was a bad Santa. Secondly, he was drunk.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. We are happy you're with us in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio. First of all, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. Whenever you're watching this video, as we get set for the Bills, coming up at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. As always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate all of your support. Now, you know what we do. Each week, we talk to somebody who knows the team that the Bills are playing that week. And for this week, it is a friend of Buffalo Plus. Been on with us before. Rob Ellis joins us from WIP Sports Radio. Everybody knows the iconic station in Philly, hosts the Eagles postgame show, does content for Bet Parks app. Rob, welcome back to Buffalo Plus.
Mike, my pleasure, man. It's good to hear from you. Good to see you, as always. Right. Happy holidays.
Same to you. And this game, but we'll talk about the time of the year that this game was, which I thought was a little odd for this game. I asked this question to almost everybody in different contexts. And I know the Eagles are the defending champs, and I know they won the division. Is this a good team?
Good team, yes. Great team, no. As good as last year, no. Good enough to make a serious run in the NFC and then see what happens in the Super Bowl, yes. There's a big difference, though, between the dominance that was last season and what this is. This is choppy. You know, this is not smooth sailing. This is one of those, you're going to get seasickness at times watching this Eagles team. Defense is getting towards very good, maybe even that next level. The offense is nowhere near that. The offense has gotten better over the last couple of weeks. They've run the ball much better. But do I trust the passing game ultimately? No, I don't. I think they can win this way, but I think it's a real hard ask in a very competitive NFC.
Yeah, the NFC is loaded. I mean, it really is. You look top to bottom, and all these teams can play. Now, I want to ask you about the offense, because it's always been a thing in Philly. They have a good offensive line, or great offensive line, or dominant offensive line. Many of the names are the same. It just hasn't looked the same. It hasn't been the same, has it?
No, not even close. If you're asking me what the biggest difference is between last season's team, I hate to keep comparing last year, but it's really over the last 4 or 5 years, it's the offensive line. I mean, they are a shell of what they were for a number of reasons, Mike. I think, one, it's as simple as some guys just aren't playing as well. Jordan Mailata, there's no injury excuse or anything like that. He has just not played as well. As far as Landon Dickerson goes, who is one of their guards, Cam Jurgens, who's their center, I can give them some leeway here because I think both guys have played banged up all year. Jurgens had off-season back surgery, and he hasn't resembled the same guy last year. Dickerson, one of the reasons why he fell to the second round to the Eagles was because of injuries in college. He's a phenomenal player, but he's been hurt all year, and it's been a myriad of things with him. So you haven't gotten the same production level out of those guys. Lane Johnson, the statistics don't lie. When he doesn't play versus when he does, and that's why it's miraculous the Eagles have won these last two without him, even though it's been bad competition, is night and day. So he's been playing hurt all year. It's a lot of different things. They miss Mekhi Becton, who went off to the Chargers. Tyler Steen's not the same player as Mekhi Becton. And everything up front has bogged down the rest. It's why the running game hasn't flowed. Saquon hasn't lost a step. It's the offensive line. And if you can't run and you become predictable, I don't care who you are, it makes your offense lesser, and they're much lesser as an offense.
Now, you said that about Saquon because obviously his numbers, well, last year, historic year. This year, not many. He had, he's had some good runs, but last year it seemed like every game or every other game he was breaking one to the end zone from 50 yards plus. It does seem like he's gotten a little bit of that back lately. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair. They've changed things up a little bit in the approach and the way they've gone about things. And really, if you take it back and it was kind of lost in the mess of 5 turnovers. But in the Chargers game, I think they figured some things out. They were coming off a mini bye week. They had 9 days off. They made some adjustments offensively. They got Hurts under center a lot more, which helps. They did some different schemes up front. And if you go back and really look at that game, easy for me to say, other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? But if you can extract the 5 turnovers, you can see some things. I think the passing game flowed a little bit better. Certainly the running game worked a lot better. That's the thing. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm encouraged by is they're running the ball more consistently. The thing last year, Mike, was they didn't have a ton of deep shots, explosives, as they like to say, in the passing game, which is how most teams usually do it. Their explosives were in the run game. Saquon would rip off a 65-yarder. It felt like every single game. That hasn't been there. So it's been plotting, in a lot of ways, the offense. But I think they've grown. I think Kevin Patullo, who's the offensive coordinator, takes a lot of heat, and I think some of it's unwarranted. I think he's dealt with an offensive line that has taken a step back, and I think he's dealt with a quarterback who's got his limitations. It's not to say he doesn't do a lot of things well, but Jalen's not your traditional passing quarterback, and I think that limits what you can do as an offensive coordinator.
I want to ask you about Jalen, but I first want to tell Buffalo Plus watchers, you heard Rob use the correct way to use the phrase, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Our Dan Fates has tried it 400 times, and he's never quite gotten it correct in what that means.
Dan, that's right. Why I'm here. Dan, hey, consulting. I'm not that far away. Mike's got my number. We'll make
one shot. Perfect. That was how it worked.
One shot, literally. Yes,
that's true. Yeah. Sorry about that, Abe. I didn't mean to bring up a bad memory. All right, let's go to Jalen Hurts. I mean, Bills fans loved every second of him a year ago in the Super Bowl because of how much they hate the Chiefs, and he lit them up. The dagger play, all that. Great in the championship game. So up and down this year. How much of it is him? How much of it is the scheme? Like you said, maybe Patullo coming around and what it is in the offensive line. Is it a combination, or is a lot of this on Jalen?
It really is a chicken or an egg thing, right? I mean, is Kevin Patullo, has he scaled it back so far because he's concerned that Jalen can't, do some things that maybe some other quarterbacks can do? Did he maybe take it too far? I think some of it, Mike, I would probably lay more of it on Jalen than I would Kevin Patullo if we were just looking at those two specifically. Like we said, the offensive line has not been the same. But I think there was a hesitation for him to be under center, which to his credit, he's done a lot more of, and it's helped the offense. So I think he's gotten out of his comfort zone with that a little bit. So I think that's helped. But no, I mean, there have been plays to be made really throughout the season, and he hasn't made them. I mean, they've gone stretches where they haven't completed a pass for a quarter, a half. I mean, they've had some really, really ugly stretches, and he absolutely has to take ownership. I think the thing that people have to realize with him, and I know obviously you keep a close eye as well, so what it is. I've always likened him in basketball parlance to a scorer instead of a shooter. Like, he's going to figure out a way to get it done, whether it's his legs, whether it's throwing the ball. He is a good deep ball thrower. We saw that in the Super Bowl with the throw to Devontae Smith. But he isn't gonna pick you apart. He's not going to be that kind of guy. He's just not accurate enough. I don't think he sees the field well enough to be able to do that. He doesn't utilize the middle enough to be able to do that. So he is dependent upon a running game in being there. One of the other things that he's done now, at least the last couple of games, and it'll be really interesting to see how the Eagles approach this the last 2 weeks, is there's more designed runs. And I am of the, there's two camps in Philadelphia with this. One is protect this guy at all costs. I don't want him running the ball. Like, save that for the playoffs. I don't believe in that. Like, to me, if you can get the 2 seed and you're trying to win football games, you got to utilize his skills. If you're taking away his running, you're tying an arm behind his back. And I just don't think that makes a lot of sense for Jalen Hurts. So they've run it a little bit better with him, with design runs. You saw it last week in their game. Granted, the competition wasn't great, but they did it last week better. They did it the week before better. And I think that's improved the offense, a modicum, not in a huge way.
So Bills fans will look at the Eagles and say, oh my God, they have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And the Bills have you and me at wide receiver, basically, in the game. Is A.J. Brown, I mean, I know there's always a lot with A.J. First of all, is he the best receiver on the team? And secondly, is he still A.J. Brown?
I think Devontae Smith's the best receiver on the team. Different receivers, very much so. I mean, A.J. is your classic 50-50 ball, box out, utilize your strength, run after catch because he's built like a tank,
Mhm.
going to get you extra yardage. Devontae is a technician. He is a route running, just a guy you put a film on to watch. 5.5, boom, he's cutting. But I think he's better ultimately. I don't think he's the same. It doesn't mean he's washed up by any stretch. I don't think he's as dominant as he was. I actually think, Mike, this is the last year he's going to be here. There's just a lot all the time with AJ. And I think what he tried to do early in the year was sound the bell, the alarm, if you will, to, hey, we have issues. We can't keep asking the defense to carry us here, to cover up for our flaws. We can't keep band-aiding this thing. And he wasn't wrong. The problem is, do you do that publicly? Now, I think what happens sometimes, and I think anybody can relate to this, if you feel like you're not being heard by your boss, by your parents, by your spouse, then maybe things start coming out publicly. And I think that is where he took it. I don't know that that's always the best thing for a team, but I think his intent is good. But let's face it, he wants his numbers. He absolutely wants his numbers. And my opinion, this is not based on any inside knowledge. I think he and the Eagles at the bye had to sit down and said, look, let's get through the year without any more flare-ups, and we'll make you happy at the end of the year, and we'll move on. I think this is the last year of A.J. Brown.
Yeah, a lot of Bills fans, I mean, obviously they're always looking for a receiver, but they've also
he
heard
could
a
still
lot.
Play. He would be great for the Bills. He'd be great.
They also hear a lot about him wanting to go to New England because he has a relationship with Vrabel. So,
Who wouldn't want to go play with Drake May, too?
I know the way he's playing now. Certainly, that's the case. In terms of Nick Sirianni's influence, he's a Jamestown guy, so he's Western New Yorker. We've got, the Bills coach is a Philly guy, so we got a Western New Yorker near Buffalo. What influence does he have on the offense? I mean, he's had different coordinators. Some he's picked maybe, or some he hasn't. How much influence does he have on this offense?
I think he has a lot more of late. When the Eagles had that mini bye that I referenced prior to the Charger game, he got a little bit more hands-on with things. And I know that scared a lot of Eagles fans. They would rather him just be the CEO and let the offensive coordinator do their thing. I actually think it's been really good for the offense. I think his influence has got them to the point where they're much improved. I'm a big Nick Sirianni fan. To me, I want my teams to win, and all the guy does is win. And everybody seems to want a Sean McVay kind of guy. And to me, what Sirianni's done, he is much more of a connector than he is a strategist, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the guy's a hell of a coach, and I think it's hard to always motivate players making a lot of money at that level, players who have won a championship now, having that under your belt. And I think most weeks, and there's a couple of exceptions this year, when the Eagles played the Giants the first time around and the Bears game, which you probably watched and everybody probably saw, which was ugly. It was the day after Thanksgiving. Other than that, they seem to show up every single game for him and play really hard for him. So I'm a big believer in Nick Sirianni, and he has actually helped the offense. So as much as people want to knock him for not being an offensive guy, necessarily, even though that was his calling card when they hired him, I think he's done a nice job this year with putting some tweaks into this thing for Kevin Patullo and helping him. I think he's also connected with Jalen Hurts on a good level.
Last thing on the offense. Tush push is not what it was this year, right? But Sean McDermott and the Bills voted against it. I don't know. Do they keep a little chart of who voted for and who voted against? It was kind of surprising to me because the Bills have Josh Allen, and he's a literal buffalo running the ball, and that play worked, and they used it the second most times. Tell me why it's been different. You mentioned all the offensive line. They've gotten away from it a lot, too. They don't run it anywhere near as much as they did.
I think there's two things, Mike. One, the offensive line isn't as good, period. Right. And two, these are NFL teams, man. They're going to adjust. They're going to figure this thing out eventually. And if they're not going to completely stop it, every once in a while they will, where it's not automatic as it used to be. So,
well, wait a minute, Rob. Are you saying that it wasn't an unfair advantage automatic play and the actual team could stop it, or they could run it poorly and not be able to use it, right?
You don't have enough time on your podcast for me to start on the nonsense. And Sean McDermott, shame on you, man. With this first of all, okay, please can I rant for 2 seconds?
Go ahead.
It's not pretty enough. This is football. It's not aesthetically pleasing enough for people. That was one of the things I heard. Then Sean McDermott was one of the guys who rolled out the injury thing, which was utter nonsense. I mean, just a total fabrication. It wasn't true. You just look at the NFL stats going into the season. It was not a play where players got injured at a high level. So it was completely bogus. The two biggest crybabies were the Green Bay Packers and the Buffalo Bills when it came to this, by far. That's why I credit guys like Vrabel, Todd Bowles are like, you want them to stop doing it, stop them. Like, it was just nonsense. But I don't think you're going to see it as much. Like, say in this game, I'm not telling you they're not going to use it, but it's not an automatic that they're going to use it. They've actually broken off a couple of variances of it. One of them was pitching it to Saquon against the Raiders 2 weeks ago, and he had a huge run off of it. So just keep in mind, it may not be your traditional tush push. They might do some variance off of it.
All right, let's go to the defense, which is, like you said, coming around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know. Jalen Carter seems to be trending towards playing if he plays in this game. I saw he made the Pro Bowl, and we know what the Pro Bowl is. He hasn't even been their best defensive tackle, has he?
Nope. No, he hasn't. Jordan Davis has. Jordan Davis was a guy a lot of us worried that, A, he couldn't stay in shape. B, he was just going to be a guy who could defend the run. You know, he's a lovable kind of guy, but you also wondered, like, is he wired right? Like, is he angry enough? Does he have enough dog in him? But he's really come on. He has been their best defensive tackle, and he doesn't come off the field now where he used to have to because he wasn't in shape. If you're asking me to sort of a pecking order here, Quinyon Mitchell's their best defensive player, and it's really not close. I mean, he is in that category where you don't even look at his side now. And I forget where he ranked in the Pro Bowl vote. It was kind of laughable, but like he's the best player on that side of the ball. But there aren't a lot of weaknesses. Like their defensive line, and you as you mentioned, I don't know, man, double shoulder procedures. I might hold off until the playoffs, but whatever. With Carter, Davis, Moro Ojomo, who's really good, the addition of Jalen Phillips, who you guys know very well from his Miami days.
Yeah.
Getting Brandon Graham back, who's got 3 sacks in his last 16 snaps. It's crazy. 37 years old, unbelievable. But that's just up front. And then you go to Nakobe Dean, who's dealing with a hamstring, Zach Bond, and then your secondary that's got Cooper DeJean, who just makes plays all over the place, and Quinyon Mitchell, who they don't look at. So there's every layer of the defense, and it's manned by Vic Fangio, is really, really good.
Yeah, you talk about those guys, drafting both of them in the same year. Mitchell, I think, is one of those guys. You know, it's a little like Christian Benford in Buffalo, who is getting better, a Villanova guy, who's getting better and better, quiet guy, and they throw to him. He's made a few big plays this year. It's kind of what you need at corner, and then you have Cooper DeJean in that way. Linebacker-wise, I mean, look, you know the Eagles' history. I go back to, growing up, Bill Berge and Jerry Robinson.
56, baby,
and then
56.
Yep. Then Trotter. You got some of those guys, but they didn't invest in linebackers.
No.
And now with Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, even I know Campbell's been, a little up and down, but that's a heck of a unit they have.
It's rare. We screamed in this town, forever about linebacker play. We screamed about not enough wide receivers. Right. So this is all just an embarrassment of riches, to have this kind of depth. And Nakobe Dean goes down last week and you plug in Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell played well. He just can't get on the field right now. So they're going to have some very interesting decisions to make because Nakobe Dean's a free agent. But they're deep there. It's the deepest core that I can remember. Maybe going back to the names that you just threw out there. I mean, that's a Trotter's 20 years ago, and Berge and Jerry Robinson. We don't want to age ourselves here, but they're really, really deep at those positions. And Zach Bond was the one that was crazy. They signed him. He was basically a pass rushing specialist on third down and special teamer, and he blossomed into an every down absolute stud, all pro inside linebacker. It was a great find by the Eagles, and he's the sort of the anchor. But the defense really changed, Mike, when Nakobe Dean came back. I'm telling you, that was the turning point for this defense. Every single position elevated. He just sort of was a calming influence. And since he's gotten back, I'd put them in the top 5, top 3 of any defense in the league.
Yeah, they have played well. Run defense. Now, the numbers, you can look at the numbers. Like if you look at the Bills numbers, they're one of the top pass defenses in the league, but that's because teams run on them. If you saw the Chicago game, the one you mentioned, that was just a disaster. The Eagles run defense I know maybe that's the outlier. Like, how are they run? Because James Cook's going to run the ball. He's been outstanding this year. That's been the strength, obviously, Josh Allen, the strength of the Bills. How is the run defense? What do you expect this week?
Yeah, the numbers are a little bit deceiving, and I hate to do the just throw a game out because they didn't show up. But the Bears rushed for, I think, 285 off the top of my head, some insane number. Excluding that, they struggled a little bit early in the I know. Here we go, Mrs. Lincoln again.
Yes.
But if you take that out of there, and they're a little bit early early in the season when I think they were still finding their footing, and I don't think Jordan Davis had quite emerged yet into what he is now. They're much better against the run now. I would expect James Cook to get his. I'm not telling you he's going to rush for 40 yards. I think he's going to have a good game because he's that good. But their run defense is really good. They've gotten better. Like the trade deadline move to get Jalen Phillips changed things in a lot of ways for this team, and it gave them options in terms of a rotation. A lot of people scoffed at the Brandon Graham thing, like we just talked about a second ago. But really, he's come on, and Brandon Graham is a guy who can play inside. So if Jordan, let's just say that Jalen Carter can't go on Sunday against the Bills, look for number 55 playing defensive tackle quite a bit because he's always been good against the run and the pass. That's improved them on the defensive side too against the run. So I wouldn't be thrown too much by the numbers from a run standpoint. They're better than what the numbers reveal.
Yeah, because like I said, when you look at it, sometimes it can make you think otherwise. For the Bills, they're going to run it, and they really don't throw to the wide receivers. If they do, it's Shakir, who lines up in the slot a lot.
Good tight ends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is Cooper DeJean, or they're going to throw to the tight ends. How are the Eagles covering tight ends?
Pretty good. It's whether it's DeJean. It's the nice thing about Vaughn and Nakobe Dean too. They're both, and again, we'll see with Dean with the hamstring, but they're both versatile and athletic. Here's where I think the Bills could have some advantages if it is Campbell instead of Dean. While he's athletic and he is versatile, he's still learning. So if you're throwing some things his way that he hasn't necessarily seen before, I think if you get him in a one-on-one situation in the pass game, the Bills could take advantage of that. That's something I would look for. Cooper DeJean has even brought it to a different level. Just to go back to him for a minute, he's as good a form tackler in space as I can remember in a long time, and he's got a real nose for the ball too. So if I'm an Eagle fan, I'm not worried about him in those situations, but I would worry about Campbell in those situations against the tight ends.
So I had two questions about the fan base, and then I'll let you get going here. First one is I'll hear people say, wow, those Philly fans are all over their team, and they just won the Super Bowl. What's it like in Philly now with this current team? And tell people why the fan base just reacts the way they do.
Well, okay, first, there was no bigger myth that was ever perpetrated, Mike, ever, than, well, if the Eagles just win one, I'll be fine for 10 years. Yeah. I mean, absolute folly, nonsense. And I said at the time, okay, talk to me when the season starts. And they go 3 and out, and you're screaming already. So that was BS. Okay, so let's just throw that out. I see where people could say that from the outside, but I'll counter it with this. I would much rather the fan base, or any fan base that matter, Philadelphia or wherever, hold their team accountable than be satisfied. Like, I would never want it. Like Scott Rowland, when he left Philadelphia, went to St. Louis and called it baseball heaven. Okay. Because it's just
everybody's nice.
Everybody's happy and go team. Yay. Good effort. I don't ever want that. I find that disgusting, that kind of thought process, quite frankly. Okay. I want to hold a team accountable. Now, are there levels of this? Of course. Like if your Super Bowl winning team is 8-2 and you struggled in the second quarter, should they get booed off the field at halftime? No, not in my opinion. Now, you can do whatever you want. I wouldn't do it personally. I think that's overboard. But I think the biggest thing you get out of Eagles fans, number one, and you can relate to this, because when we were kids, we went through some garbage. Marion
Yeah.
Campbell days,
Oh.
and some just really Rich Kotite, some bad football, right? So there's a little piece of you that's waiting for a safe to fall on your head, as unrealistic as that is, right? And that hasn't been the case. This has been an unbelievable run they're on. But I think that's part of it. The other part of it is you're looking at it with an eye to say, okay, what do they have to do to repeat? I'm not happy just getting to the playoffs. Okay. What do they have to do to repeat? And I'm seeing things that really concern me. The last thing I'll say is they're all affected by 2023. For Bills fans who don't know, the Eagles get to the Super Bowl in 22, have a great year. They get off to a 10-2 start the next year and then fall off a cliff. They get to
Beat
the playoffs.
The Bills in the game and the overtime game
Correct.
down in Philly.
That was the end of that season. It marked like the last good thing it felt like that happened. And then they fell into the abyss. So there's a fear that coming off a good year, you're gonna revert back to that kind of thing. And this year was kind of done with mirrors a little bit early. You beat the Rams on 2 block kicks. Like there was stuff that you said they shouldn't be winning these games. I know they are, but they shouldn't really be winning these games. So it's colored by all those things. And I understand where a Bills fan would say, just give me one, man.
Yeah.
Just give me one. Give me a break, Philadelphia. I get it. Believe me, I get it.
Last thing, since it is the holiday, and I'm just going to let you answer this. I don't know if you've heard this before, but Philly fans booed Santa Claus.
Yeah, I've heard it. First of all, he was a bad Santa. Secondly, he was drunk, and he should have been booed, number one. And that was 1969, by the way.
Right.
I'm not kidding you. Like 69, Nixon was in office.
Get over it, everybody, right?
Well, here's what I don't need from the national media. 2 things. Don't bring up booing Santa Claus, and you don't have to show every cheesesteak spot in Philadelphia. We can do better.
Well, they show wing spots in Buffalo, so that's the go-to.
True. You get the anchor bar every time. I get
it. That's
it. But it's like, can we get a little bit more creative here, producers? Please. You're better than this.
All right. Last thing on in the big picture of this game. Eagles are the 3 seed now, right?
Yes.
3?
Yes.
They have a shot at 2, I guess. Somewhat of a long.
I think people have slept too long on the Niners all year. But
yeah,
just
they looked really good.
Yep.
Yeah. Do they play? I'm not talking about resting players. I'm talking about like if a guy's a little, messed up a little bit and they give him a break. What do you think the mindset is for the Eagles? If your opinion coming into this game, gotta have it, keeping healthy. Like where do you think they are? Because they know they're going to be home. They know they're going to be playoffs. At worst case, the 3 seed. Where do you think they are?
Got to have it. I'm doing everything I can to win the game if there's still a shot at me getting the number 2 seed. The more home games I can get, the better to my advantage. So I'm giving it everything that I have. Like if you go out there half-stepping against the Bills, you're going to lose, in my opinion. I know that, the Bills have their flaws too. I get it. But to me, if you're not approaching this thing all out, it's a mistake. If you want to, you can save that for next week against Washington, and Dan Quinn can be in his feelings and all that stuff.
Please.
Oh my God. But really, I would go all out in this game if I'm the Birds. And look, I'm not risking. If Jalen Carter says to me, my shoulder still doesn't feel right, of course I'm not playing the guy.
Right.
But my approach is 100% for everybody who's out there that we're going all in, man.
Yeah. The only thing about this game, and this is I was hoping this would have been like an October 425 game. I don't know why they buried it so late in the season.
I don't like anything about the last 3 games. Like the Eagles play the Commanders twice in 3 games. It's too much.
I don't like that. I think it's almost unfair. When look, Washington's done.
Yeah.
And that's the 2 games that are played there. And then sometimes it works out in terms of that. I just don't think it's fair to play 2 games against the same team in 3 weeks.
I don't either. I don't. And you're like you said, the risk is if one of those teams is down, it becomes such a throwaway. But I would prefer more of conference stuff late.
Yeah.
In general than the interconference stuff that we're getting here. Granted, it's a great matchup. Don't get me wrong. It is. But
it's kind of buried a little bit, and both teams are kind of settled in, both in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I hear where you're coming from. Yeah.
Hey, Rob, we really appreciate it, especially busy time of the holidays. Let everybody know like where they can. I know they can hear you on the weekends. So let everybody know where they can hear you and find you on social media.
Okay. Yeah. At R Ellis Sports on X/Twitter. You can find me. And every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., I host a show on WIP, and you can listen to it on the Odyssey app. But I host a show with Mike Sealski, who's a columnist from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Mike's great. And then Sundays, I host the Eagles post game. And if the Eagles aren't playing, I'm generally on in the afternoon. So you can catch me there. And I do all kinds of sports betting content for Bet Parks. So you just download the Bet Parks app. You'll find all my stuff there as well.
Awesome. Great stuff. That show Saturday morning's fantastic. So
Thanks,
listen to it any chance you get. All right. Rob, thanks very much. Enjoy the holidays and thanks for being with us. And we'll see how this one goes. This was my Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year. I don't know if both of them or either of them will make it, but maybe we talk again before the Super Bowl.
It's not out of the question, Mike. Listen, happy holidays to you and your family and the entire Buffalo Plus crew. Thanks, man.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Rob Ellis, our guest from Philadelphia, giving you the preview of what's going on for the Bills and the Eagles coming up on Sunday. That's going to do it for me from here in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio. As always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy your holiday, and we will see you next time on Buffalo Plus.